Hey, everybody. I just came back from the Hunter Hotel Conference, and one of the biggest issues we had out there was labor. Don't worry, we're solving that problem right now.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Glenn Hausman here, your friendly neighborhood Glenn, as someone likes to call me. All right, I like to call that to myself. But thank you all so much for being here today. No Vacancy Live. You're probably saying to yourself, hey, Glenn, where is Anthony? Well, believe it or not, he thinks that his daughter's graduation from college is more important than being here today. I don't know about that. All right. It is. So congratulations to the entire Melchiori family and the graduation of his daughter. How fantastic is that? Feel free to send him your congratulations and tell him how much we miss him. And he will be back here next week with us. Speaking of next week and things that are coming back, we've been off from the Friday night audit for 2 shows because first, I had to get fully vaccinated. I'm feeling good. I'm vaccinated. Co-host Craig Sullivan, he had to get vaccinated the week after. We are now ready to get back to it. I'm excited to host Friday Night Audit again, our show where we focus on drinking, comedy, lots of laughs, and I'll be talking about all of the things at the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference that we can't talk about in this particular venue. So be sure to tune in wherever you're watching this show right now. Well, not Anthony's fan page. Find us on YouTube. Find us on my LinkedIn page. Find us on our No Vacancy News Facebook page, all of that kind of good stuff tomorrow, 5 p.m. Also, as we're getting back to it, I just came back from an event that had over 1,100 people. And one thing that would have made their event a little bit better, those great recyclable, disposable garbage cans from our good friends over at Ecotech. Look at this. Look at this beautiful thing. Inexpensive, easy to use, helpful to the environment, will make your things better. And guess what? It's easily foldable. Store's really great. You could reuse them if you need to. They come in black and white now. They come in multiple sizes. You can even get a starter kit. Check them out at eco-techwaste.com. Tell them No Vacancy Live sent you, and you're going to get a discount because honestly, you can buy them on Amazon if you want right now because you can buy anything on Amazon, but go straight to that website right there. It'll be a lot cheaper. I want to thank you guys all for being here. Now, one of the issues that I experienced is this employment problem that we're having. And by experience, I meant conversations that we were having at the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. Every single person that I spoke to was talking about the problem they have at labor, the stress finding people to do work. How can we keep people who are on our staff engaged and with us at every single step of the way? That is a huge problem, an unexpected problem. None of us thought that was going to happen. Oh, and be sure to check out my special report that I did with Chip Rogers, the CEO of the American Hotel and Lodging Association, dropping on Saturday, where we talk about the Hotel Jobs Act and what you can do to be more engaged in helping make sure that hoteliers have what they need to keep people in the marketplace. But today we're going to take things a little differently. We're going to be going to a university. We're going to be speaking to a recruiter. We're going to be doing all of that kind of fun stuff. So let's bring him in right now. We got Mr. Peter Ricci from Florida Atlantic University and Jeremy Nichols, a great recruiter out of Gecko. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on No Vacancy Live.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Whew, boy, am I exhausted after talking for almost 4 minutes straight like that. I didn't think, honestly, guys, after that event that I was at this week, I was so insanely tired. I haven't felt that way since about 7-8 years ago. I was in Vegas for like 13 days straight, and I was equally that tired. I didn't drink much. I didn't stay up late, but I was completely exhausted. I don't know what happened, but it was great to be back to it.
All the adrenaline of the pent up demand that everybody's been, talking about for a year, right?
Right. Yeah. And I'll tell you guys, sorry about pent up demand. Things are opening. And I want to talk a little bit about that just for a moment before we get into the recruiting, because it really shows the good news that we're facing right now in the hospitality industry. I just got word this morning after yesterday's announcement that in Las Vegas, MGM Resorts was allowed to go back to 100% full capacity on the gaming floors. Caesars just got to go ahead to do exactly the same thing this morning. That's super exciting. But guys, probably the best news that I've gotten since February of 2020, before all of this happens, is yes, thank God, the moment we've all been waiting for that none of you care about but me. The fish shows in August in Atlantic City are happening, and I'm going to get back to having a good, happy life again. So congratulations to me and all of our fans out there. But guys, that's pretty cool. We're getting back to concerts. We're getting back to the way things used to be. Jeremy, how you feeling about that, man? You went to Disney World.
I did. I went to Disney World last week. So, yeah, that was quite an event with 4 toddlers. In the blazing heat, it was 94 that day. But they took care of us. The hotel was great. We stayed at the Hilton right there in Disney World, and yeah, it felt great to be back. Let's just say that. So
Right,
we got a little bit of a cold because being out there with all those little kids, but feeling good otherwise.
it's nice to be able to worry about classic illnesses. Right again.
Right. Yes, we're all vaccinated, so we're good on that front.
Yeah, exactly. I'm double vaccinated, and the confidence from that is much more than I expected. Peter, I'll tell you, when I was at the Hunter conference, everybody was vaccinated, or they got a COVID-free test because of the Clear Health Pass that the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference people partnered with. But everybody felt super comfortable. And I'm feeling like I'm getting ready to get back to it more than ever before. More people are feeling ready to get back to it. We're seeing record or near record number of travel bookings, but we're seeing a problem being able to fill all of these open jobs that are happening. How do you see this going on with what you are researching over at FAU?
Well, it's funny because earlier you said nobody saw this coming. I saw it coming like 9 months ago, because if you remember, we had this certificate that went viral, which I was so fortunate that you guys interviewed me about. But that led to probably 2 million comments.
Wow.
And they keep coming. I mean, I compiled a book of comments that we shared with the major CEOs. And we stopped collecting them after 6 months. So by now there's millions. And what we realized were silos were coming out of comments. There was a group that was afraid to go back because they didn't want to work with the pandemic, naturally. Now that's fading away with everybody being vaccinated. There was a group, they still can't find daycare. Another group that evaluated their cost of gas and tolls and what they're getting on unemployment, and they said no. But really, the underlying thing that struck me was that this is the first time ever that people completely separated from a hectic, crazy work life in our business. I mean, in the 70s with the gas crisis, the roadside hotels suffered for a while. 9/11, New York suffered for a while. It's always been pockets, a hurricane, a tsunami, an earthquake, or this, but never across the world where you're thrown with your closest loved ones for a long period of time. And you can reflect on your life and say, hey, you know what? I've been working long hours for low pay for a long time, and this is not who I want to be or what I want to do. And that scared me the most, because the industry's known we've always had a PR problem. I mean, Chip does the best job I've ever seen at AHLA, really kind of communicating who we are and how great we are and what we really mean to be as an employer. But we've suffered from that tarnished industry, that image. And these people, they got a taste. They drove Ubers. They worked at call centers. They got an online job with Amazon. They worked at, I have students working at Chewy.com. You can bring your dogs and cats and buy your pet food. I mean, and wow, they had better benefits. Wow, they got a higher rate per hour. So we really have an issue that's bigger. And I don't want to go on a long tangent, but I'm a little annoyed with some of the CEOs and leaders, and I'm really happy with others. Some are realizing this is more than just throwing more money per hour to get going. It's an issue that has to be dealt with. We need a better work-life balance. We need to get back to some semblance of staffing levels that we had in prior decades so that we don't burn out the workers like we're doing. Right. And we need better benefits.
Yeah.
So, I'll stop there for a minute, but I've got a lot of passion on this
And I
subject.
want to hear all about what you're saying, but we both sense Jeremy's got something to say.
No, it's funny. I'm very, very, very excited to have Peter on because I feel like it's almost like a doppelganger in my headspace. Like everything that I've been echoing, I'm not shocked by it either.
Right.
If anybody who's followed me on LinkedIn or heard me on other shows, I said back in September that this was going to happen, and people thought that I had like three eyes when I said it. I speak to candidates all day, and then I hear it from the client end, so I connect the dots. So everything that Peter's saying is spot on. So to say that in September, when unemployment goes away, you're going to get this huge swath of talent just running at your doors.
Right.
It's not going to happen. You'll get a fraction, but it's not going to satisfy the demand that's happening. So there has to be this talk. So this conversation that Peter's bringing up, this needs to be said. And there are a lot of great leaders that are talking about it. And there are a lot that aren't. And fortunately, I run my desk and I'm able to do a little bit of pushback. But on the internal side, hopefully recruiters on the internal side, and I come from internal. Like I spent 17 years as a corporate recruiter, but now I'm on my own.
Right.
I'm hoping that internal can communicate this to their leaders that there are candidates just not coming back. It's not just salary. They're asking for better hours. I mean, what's the saying? It takes 21 days to form a habit. They've had a year.
Right.
They've had a year to figure it out that they aren't going to take it. And I've had just today, I had somebody, I'm not going to say who, asking like, I thought there was so much talent out there. Why she's asking for 150? Why can't she take 120? She hasn't worked in a few months. I'm like, she's not going to do it.
Right.
She knows what she wants, and she's not going to come back until you give her what she feels she's worth.
That's right. And Peter, you know who else is not going to take it? Dee Snider. Definitely.
Why, Peter? I like Dee Snider.
Thanks for getting that 80s reference. I appreciate that. But Peter, interesting that you were talking about that work-life balance sort of a thing. And on the executive level, the people that I was spending time with this past week at the incredible Hunter Hotels Investment Conference, and kudos to the entire team over there for making it a wonderful in-person experience and helping us feel normal again. But Peter, the one underscore, the one undertone, the one thing that people kept telling me over and over and over again is they want to rethink the way they live. They want to think, they don't want to necessarily put in as much work anymore. They don't necessarily want to travel as much. But you're saying on the property level, it's kind of the same thing. And hoteliers are telling me their executives at the property level, the GMs, the assistant GMs, the director of sales, they've been working crazy hours. They're suffering from burnout. You may lose those people too.
Absolutely.
It's a dire situation. So how are you feeling where we are right now? Forget for a moment about getting new staff, but retaining those existing personnel.
Well, I don't feel great at all, to be honest. And I'm one of the ones.
Yeah.
I've been in the business since I was 14. I'm 55. If Jeremy finds me a job outside the business, I'll go.
Right.
I mean, I've never felt that way, ever. Normally in our business, you're bitten by the hospitality bug, and you'll try to go something else, and you'll wind up back right with us. This is not happening to the extent that I've ever seen before. People have found something where their skill set works, they're happy, and they're making more money, and work-life balance is better. So some are going to stay away. Some will do it for a year and then come back. So I'm cautiously optimistic. But, I kept my emails open in case you hear a ding. One of the CEOs I admire is Chris Nassetta at Hilton. I can send an email. He will reply very rapidly. And I sent an email how concerned I am about these findings from our research, that a brand needs to take action and move forward and be the first to campaign about it. And they will lead the talent grasp. If they do it right and it's not fanfare, he immediately gets it. He immediately responded. There are others, and even some who are super involved with AHLA, who put out something at Hunter that is fabulous, newsworthy press release, but it's pure BS. I mean, I have heard from thousands of people per brand about what's going on behind the scenes. And if the CEO believes this and the people are way over here, you can't even be in the screen, there is a disconnect. And there's a lot of them that are feeling disconnected. And this doesn't apply just to hotels and restaurants. It's theme parks, it's casinos, it's national parks, it's anywhere that has that hospitality typical drive. And one last thing I'll say on this issue, in terms of the future, it's also scary because enrollments are down globally in hospitality schools. Ooh. And we're the pipeline. So you combine this with 24 to 36 months out, it's going to be a great day for students, but not a great day for the industry because they'll have their pick of jobs. You know
what's even scarier about that? What Peter's saying is that if we're feeling it now, right? We're feeling the crunch right now. It hasn't even begun. Like we're at the beginning of the race. We're tying our laces. We haven't even done a lap yet. And we still have like business travel, international. We still have conventions coming back. 22, everybody I'm talking to, 22 is supposed to be insane.
Hey, like this comes back, Jeremy, right? I mean, if nothing symbolizes the return of conferences, that does.
There you go. I mean, buckle up, everybody, because it's going to keep on, increasing. Here's what I think, and I don't know if this was a question you're going to ask, but I just want to chime in with kind of what Peter was saying.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, perfect. Good. So when this all happened, the first people, one of the first chunks of talent that was affected was HR. Mm-hmm. So HRDs had their talent acquisition was taken away. Their recruiters were taken away. Their coordinators were taken away. Managers, everything gone. Trainer managers gone, right?
Short-term thinking, right? For a major crisis, still short-term thinking. So
then the HRDs are doing what? Cleaning rooms, doing everything. Then they have post-COVID regulations, all these new responsibilities dumped on them. They still don't have their teams. They took pay cuts. They're working 6-7 days a week. You know how many HRDs I spoke to? It's insane. A lot of them left, went to pharmaceutical, went to e-commerce, went to grocery chains, went to other industries are gone. Right. So any leader out there right now, and I'll probably shoot myself in the foot because I'm a recruiter, so I like to have the job orders. But you need to beef up your HR. You need to training, and once you hire the person, you want to take care of that person, properly train them and retain them, and not just have them show up, not have their schedule in hand, not know where they're going, not have their name badge made. All that. Like there's a lot of disconnect, and HR needs a lot of love right now.
Well, really interesting point that you make there, Jeremy, because that is true. HR is a fungible job. It's the same kind of thing, no matter what industry you're in. Sure, there are obviously differences when it comes to the nuances of it, but the main role of the job is exactly the same thing. Peter, how are you seeing it when it comes to that particular side of this crisis?
I mean, think about it. HR is who builds the culture, who finds the right talent, who does the training. If they're gone, your whole core is going to fall apart. And we knee-jerk react. Again, I'm going to go back to the unique perspective that we have, having 83,000 people from 165 countries. When you get 2 million comments, it means something. And I'm sure by now we're over 3 million. Most of the companies talked out of this side, and then they were doing out of this side. The employees are not stupid. They felt very quick to be terminated. Many were furloughed, brought back, and terminated again. The sour taste and the lack of an HR caregiver role is really lacking. And at Hunter, one of the leaders was going on and on about how great they communicated. You talked to the 6,000 people in our survey, they didn't hear from anybody, and they don't use that communication tool that was mentioned. So there's a big disconnect in reality, and I think this is a great opportunity. I focus on the optimism. It is a great time for us to go back, look at margins, rethink staffing levels, and rebuild this industry to the great thing that it was. We have become too complacent the past decade on stocks, stock value, profit-driven, and working the employees to death. And when they had a chance to breathe and be with their families and see what other people do in their inner world and outer world, in their neighborhood, in their church, in their school, in their synagogue, they're like, wow, this is amazing. There's a whole world. Now, the good part is the leading hospitality schools moved into business colleges over the past 2 decades and realized that these are skills used in any business. So our students at FAU, as an example, have already been able to go to banks and grocers and car dealerships using their business degree with their hospitality skills. This has just been an eye-opening experience for most of the people who were vocationally trained outside of business. It's no surprise they can go be a recruiter and use the skills that Jeremy has, or equally go work to a hotel, or equally go work to an insurance company. We're all businesses, and we all interact with guests, customers, whatever you want to call them. So, so taking HR out was a very bad knee jerk. Hindsight's always wonderful, but but you don't need. And we took sales out. The sales people were super bitter. You took the two caregiving, empathetic, leading social roles out of your organization first. And you kept the introverted, analytical revenue managers the longest. They're not the touchy-feely lover types that are going to find you new workers. I mean, come on.
And
anybody could have seen this coming.
And sales and HR both are so transferable. They can go anywhere.
Absolutely.
They can go anywhere. And a lot of them have.
Right. And now we're, Glenn, think about this. Weren't we all lobbying and fighting across the world to stop the $15 an hour raise increase? Well, that's out the window because I post hundreds of jobs a week, and I've only had one in the past month that was under $15. Right. So that was a real ignorant fight that we spent a lot of dollars on when we should have been thinking about what we need to do, soul searching.
Yes, as a human being, I'm all about the living wage initiative. And one of the things that I've talked about with Chip Rogers on air when then $15 minimum wage thing comes up is I don't think we can necessarily do that as a blanket across the entire country. I live in New York. New York is very different than people that might live in Alabama. So I do think we have to have some sort of figuring that makes sense for different areas so people can have a quality of life, have a balance of life, and be able to focus more on their careers. Jeremy?
I just love being on this platform and hearing a lot of things that I've been saying and I agree with. I mean, Peter's taken, stealing the thunder. You're saying so much that I've been preaching and thinking for a while. It's awesome. The good news is, here's the good news for all of those that are probably watching the show right now. There's a chunk that are not employed right now, and they're nervous and they're like, well, where's my job? Right? It's going to happen. Anybody who's at the finish line of this, if you're in hospitality, you are in the best industry right now because there's going to be so much opportunity, a ton of it. Believe me, because right now I remember, summertime, the rest of Florida was hurt pretty bad. South Florida was a mess. Panhandle, on the other hand, was rocking. They were booking rooms. They were looking for talent up there like you wouldn't believe. Restaurants were busy up there. Now it's trickled down the whole state. Orlando's like the last city that's kind of starting to bounce back because they're not on the water like most of the other cities in Florida. But my point is, now in restaurants, if you are a sous chef, chef de partie, EC, restaurant manager, you have the pick of the litter. You can go, you can get your whatever salary you want pretty much. There's so much need out there. All you got to do is go to the job boards, type the word in restaurant, and then the state in Florida, and you'll see countless pages.
Right.
That is going to trickle up. It's already trickling up. I have GM searches. I have some sales searches right now. A few director searches. Didn't have those a few months ago. That's going to start trickling up, and it's going to start going up into cluster, regional, like all of that's happening. Once new management teams start coming in and start taking over properties, new acquisitions, some foreclosures happen, new properties are taken over. There's going to be a ton of movement on the C-suite level and the director level as well. It's the future is bright. It's huge. Huge opportunities for hospitality.
We talk about this all the time right here on No Vacancy Live. And I've been talking to a lot of students, a lot of schools. And the one thing that Anthony and I always say, the best opportunity now for career advancement and growth is to be in the hospitality industry now. Burnout issues, salary issues aside, the chance for advancement, I don't think has ever been better. Peter, you're nodding your head yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This has never been better. I want to clarify something. I'm not just a guy in academia. I'm an industry guy, and I always will be. And I managed restaurants, hotels, DMOs through a culture building, caring method. And I've preached this message to the industry for years, but it falls on deaf ears because of the publicly driven nature of these large shareholder companies. And this is a time that the CEOs need to listen and can finally soul search. I mean, go back 10 or 15 years, all my hotels were kicking butt in the comp sets based on paying better and listening to the staff with better work-life balance and doing something. I mean, there are simple things. Instead of a pizza party, if you're going to spend $500 per associate per quarter, ask them how they want the $500. Do they want a car repair? Do they want daycare? Do they want a class paid for? Just listen to the employees like other industries do, and we'll be the kick butt industry that we always have been again. But you are right. From the student standpoint, I tell you, I do it out of a labor of love, sometimes to the point of insanity, but I post jobs every day. I mean, I must be posting 400 or 500 a week in emails. And
I got more coming to you, Peter.
Yeah.
Each email has multiple jobs. So if you're sitting there and saying, "Oh my God," it's a buffet.
Seriously, they should really change LinkedIn to helpwanted.com at this point. That's all I see right now.
And how many green badges are getting turned off on LinkedIn every day? Just got hired. Boom. Happy to be back. All these happy pictures everywhere. Boom, boom. And I know that there's some people that they shoot me DMs that they're still looking, but please, it's coming. Like, unfortunately, events and conference sales are a little bit later, and but those jobs are coming back. Like, I'm already hearing 22. Are you guys hearing? It's booked crazy. Like all my clients in South Florida, around Florida, they're booked completely.
I have several colleagues, alumni among them, seasoned people among them. They've already hit their sales quotas for 2021, and it's just a matter of time till the companies up the quotas again.
Right.
So the bookings are back without a doubt. It could be fall, it could be first quarter 22 or later, but the bookings are there, and many of them have already hit their sales goals. Wow. So it's a banner time, and I want to make this conversation of optimism, but I want one CEO to reach out to me and say, "I get it, and here's what we're doing," and send this message to your students and alumni. I'm waiting. Chipotle was the first to do blanket $15. It came out this week. Glenn, I agree with you. It's case by case. Miami's much more expensive than Tallahassee, even within states. Yes. But a living wage should be the answer. I saw a statistic that said 32,000 is the minimum in a study that people are looking at for. But again, it doesn't apply everywhere. Right.
I agree. Now, Jeremy, I'm going to bring this question to you that I have. Now, I want to play a little fun with numbers for a second, because one of the things that I don't think that people do in general is take enough of that critical thinking type of thing. One of the presentations I've typically done throughout my my career is rethinking conventional thinking. Because I go to these conferences and I hear everybody say the same thing, and they kind of puppet back the same idea. They are railing against having to spend more in labor costs. They feel they can't afford that. But the truth is, and I'm sure you'll have a better idea on this number, anytime someone leaves a job, it takes something like $4,500 or $5,000 to replace that job. So if you're looking just at how many hours you're paying, you're not looking at the full panoply of expenses that you have when it comes to your HR goals. You could theoretically, in my non-mathematical head, pay people more and actually make more money at the same time. And
retain them, right?
Right. How do you see that?
And I also think, just to this kind of answers your question and piggybacks with Peter too, is the hours too. I mean, they're paying a lot of these hourly talent crazy hours, like overtime, right? So like you pay someone what they're moving up to 15 hours, sometimes $18 an hour. But these chefs and these like the restaurant workers are doing 55, 60 hours minimum at these restaurants, minimum. Right. And so like You want to talk about living wage, start shaving hours back, because I'm hearing that some people don't even care about the money. They just want better hours.
Right.
They just want to be able to hang out with their family. They want a couple of days off a week. Like that's what they want. But to answer your question, Glenn, too, yeah, I mean, I don't have an actual tangible number because it's different per property, per search, and the amount of manpower that goes into recruiting. But anybody who is in HR does understand the amount of time it's going to take, not only to source through the resumes that are coming through, and if they're not if they don't have resumes coming in, which a lot of people don't, that takes a lot of manpower to source and hours to source. Also, what does it take to pay LinkedIn to post your job or Indeed to post your job, the advertisement that you have to use? There's so much that goes into recruiting. Like for us, I do it full time. I have a team of recruiters and we're doing it full time. And if we're having difficulty, I don't even want to know what's going on property level if you don't have that manpower. Like if we're having difficulty finding a huge swarm of talent, then I know it's hurting. How many now hiring events do you see posted on LinkedIn?
Well, funny, yeah, Jeremy, funny you should say that. Producer Suzanne is talking to me behind the scenes, and she's saying a business partner of hers was going to open a restaurant with a brewery in 2 weeks, but now has to pivot to food trucks. They can't find cooks, dishwashers, bus persons. The other issue that we're seeing, social media is rife with we can't find anyone to work. We're closed types of signs.
Open houses everywhere.
Right?
Come to our property. We need guest services. We need housekeeping, front desk, chefs. The laundry list of everything they need. Bellman, concierge. Just go on LinkedIn. It's all you see. Boom, boom, boom. Having an open house. But like these open houses, I'm talking to the HRDs. No one's really even showing up. So how much manpower are you putting into even putting these things together? I'm not saying don't do them. I think you should have them, but you have to structure them where they're actually like working open houses. But yeah, it's pretty wild right now.
Yeah, Peter?
I have several restaurants in our area that opened brand new, couldn't find enough staff, so they're closed 1 or 2 days a week purposefully. Hotels closing outlets early. Now, the thing to remember is the public wants to travel again. And we got busy quickly in South Florida because of the beach-type destinations, and hotels didn't hesitate to raise the rates, but they hesitated to find enough staff to take care of the guests. So the guests are complaining because they're expecting the pre-pandemic level of staffing immediately, as they should, because they're paying more money. So there is a disconnect. I stayed at a resort that shall remain nameless for $1,000 a night and had a 50-minute check-in. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. If I was paying that kind of money, I would freak out. And you understand the pain they're going through.
Absolutely. I didn't freak out, and I understood, and I wanted to jump behind the desk and answer the PBX, but I was like, hey, I'm paying $1,000 plus resort fee, plus tax, plus this, plus that, and I'm getting a economy brand experience, or worse. So guests will be tolerant for a little while. We've all seen the signs in the stores and on social media saying, help us. But, for those of you that never worked in a hotel, the personal broadcast exchange, PBX, is just the phone. It's the phone system. So I was ready to jump back and answer it and take room service calls and do bellman just to help out because that's our nature. Right. But the public won't stand for this for a while. For a long while. They'll deal with it for a little while, but they're kind of over it. Either that or you've got to say, hi, I'm really sorry, we're short-staffed, so here's your 50% off discount. Ugh. And then they still might gripe about it.
Yeah. That's a whole other element right there that
So we got a lot of things. It's a banner time to find staff. It is a banner time to be a student. That gives me a lot of optimism. And it's a great time for a leader to step up and say, you know what, I'm rebranding. This is how we're going to do things. What Jeremy said is spot on. Raise their wages $5 an hour, give them 40 hours, get rid of the overtime. You found a new employee, and you've made their work-life balance better, and you're paying them better. It's not rocket science.
Do you want 40 hours a week or zero? Because right now you have zero. Do you want 40 hours a week out of somebody? Because, there's a lot of things that I think this is not a cure-all. Obviously, there's always going to be difficulty with some roles, but I think some of the issues that I'm seeing is, employers not moving quick enough. Like some of my clients move quick. I'll send them a candidate right away. They get back to me. I want to talk to them tomorrow. Those are the clients of mine that are filling positions. So some of them will sit on it and wait. And I need a little bit more of this. And they're finding reasons not to hire rather than why they should hire the person. They're dwelling on the things like they don't have 5 years experience in this. And I really needed 5 years. Like there needs to be more flexibility.
I always feel like when they say you need 5 years of experience, it's made up out of thin air.
They just say it and they stick to it. Some hiring managers do, and they have these really boring job descriptions with too many requirements. It's like, who is applying to that? Make them want to come work for you. And I guess it sounds provocative coming from me because I am a recruiter, but I'm just genuinely trying to help. And this is what I'm hearing from candidates. I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot saying these things. So I'm glad Peter's next to me because he's vouching for it. But honestly, like they need to really start being more forward thinking, more progressive with their hiring, and especially on line level, stop putting these crazy requirements out there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I got to reiterate again, I'm an operations guy. I'm finance driven. I am profit driven. I'm not blowing smoke out of my butt saying, oh, a theoretical story said this and I'm touchy-feely HR. I'm talking about bottom line. This will make the bottom line better, and it'll make the industry a go-to place that people want to come back to, like it was in the 80s. You know, it's and like Craig just commented, it's easy to say these things, but a leader needs to stand up and do it. And the first one that does it right will get such mileage and PR that they will be the talent leader. You know,
what about morale too, Peter? I mean, if your people are happy, you're going to get better reviews. People are going to have genuine smiles on their face, and they're genuinely going to like being at work, and they're really going to want to be there. And it can happen. I mean, I'll throw out a name out. Who does a good job in quick service? You know, we all know you drive through Chick-fil-A, most of the time they have a smile on their face. My pleasure. They have a great reputation. You know, I don't mean to call them out, but like, that's kind of like, that's just a sample of what I'm talking about. Like, make your people happy.
Jeremy, in the interest of being fair and balanced over here, can we talk about In-N-Out now for a little while? Because no, seriously.
I have only been once because I'm from Florida, but I have been over there. Yes.
But the reason why I say that is they are a market leader when it comes to being able to keep and retain people, because they didn't ever shy away from that $15 an hour. And they created a work environment that people want to be at. And they too have those smiley faces. So if you don't have the Chick-fil-A near you, you can get those smiley faces from In-N-Out people.
I did have a great experience and a great burger. What was it called? What's the burger, the sauce they have at In-N-Out? I only had it once.
Is that the monster sauce?
Yes. I think that's what, anybody correct me on here, but yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
great service.
I'm a New York guy, but every time I go out to out west where there's one of those, I love to have it. But Jeremy, we were talking a little bit about pivoting and stuff like that. You're kind of caught in the middle here, right? You've got to deliver candidates for jobs. But if the hotel owners and operators aren't on the page that we've been talking about here with work-life balance, livable wages and stuff like that, that kind of hurts you from you being able to do those jobs. How are you wending your way through this tricky environment right now?
Well, it doesn't hurt me really in the long run. Good. Because so I had 2020 was a horrible year, but it was such an awesome year for me. I'm very blessed to say that in 2020, I didn't go in the red. I actually did very well. And that was by luck and I guess fate of just speaking my mind. And I had this moment where I had all my jobs went away. It was like March 13th. I remember I had my whole deck just swiped away. And I had this moment on the ground. Like,
same thing happened over here.
Everything gone, toast. And I had this moment of like, okay, what am I going to do? Cry about it? So I took that time and I spent 3 months talking to candidates. And I had all my intention was just to help. I spent so much time just talking to them every single day. And anybody who's watching that can vouch, I'm sure there's people that might watch later that will vouch that I did this. And eventually it got overwhelming and I started slowly getting some job orders. And I made a YouTube channel to help them. I answered all the FAQs and I try to point them that way. And if they want to ask me questions later, I'll jump on the phone and I'll answer those questions for them. But to answer your question, I had this moment where it's like, yeah, I'm saying these things that might tick off potential clients, but if it ticks them off, do I want to work with them anyway?
Right.
I don't, because
Right.
ultimately I'm going to be spinning my wheels and wasting my time as a recruiter. So fortunately, a lot of the contacts that I made in the HRDs and in the hotels and the restaurants that I work with turned out to be great clients where I can have that more. It's more of a partnership than I'm just like hired to be transactional. I'm actually able to consult with them and they ask me things and I tell them. And for the most part, it has really helped my business being able to speak my mind. So yeah, I probably have ticked off a lot of people, but it didn't really hurt me in the long run because the people I'm working with are awesome.
Right.
Interesting. I'll piggyback on that a little bit. It's like, Glenn, you'll appreciate this. I am kind of shocked by the number of people that have reached out to me and said, these people are lazy. They don't want to work, this and that. They don't get it.
I spent a week hearing that.
And I stopped posting jobs for most of them, because if that's the culture and the viewpoint you have, you're going to lead us to a further point of separation from the working people. I mean, it's just how it is. That is not the reality. Like, there was a period of time nobody was responding to interview setups. There were high no-shows in HR. People were just applying because they had to for insurance benefits, unemployment insurance benefits. But over time, all those rules have changed, and it's getting more to the point where you have to look for work, you have to show up, and we're moving out of that pandemic, we are here to just take care of you in the short run mode. So I hope that goes down. But employers, they have an all-time high of no-shows for interviews.
Well,
God. It's bad.
Look at this. Michael Sandercock is trying to recruit for a hotel opening in Virginia, and with the gas shortages, had 4 interviews not show up just this morning. I have a feeling it's a little more insidious than just the gas issue that's going on as well. Jeremy, what do you think of hearing that?
Wow. So no call, no shows is like, that's talk of the town. I hear it all the time. Fortunately, you can't really fix it 100%, but if there are hiring managers or recruiters right now that are listening to this that want to shorten that, I'm sure they do, you really need to like box in your candidates. Like, especially, I mean, line level, it's a little bit more difficult, but when you get into like anything, key hourly and up, and shift supervisors, managers, when you get on the phone with them, just really try to box them in into what they want and have transparent conversations. I think there's a lot of rushed conversations with candidates. I think that, and I guess it's easier for me to say that because I recruit all day. So operations are kind of sometimes forced into recruiting, but maybe hire somebody that is a great associate at your restaurant or your hotel that has great customer service. And give them the responsibility of being recruiting. I fell into recruiting because of that. I was a manager in New York City at an H&M.
Oh, cool.
And I literally was, I was asked because I guess I had good customer service. Jeremy, every Friday, can you go and do recruiting? And what I'm trying to say is, instead of throwing the recruiting responsibilities onto somebody who might not want to do it and they don't have a passion for it, that kind of attitude is going to be very transparent on the phone with potential candidates. It might turn them off. They might hear it. They might not want to pick up phone calls. If they miss a call, they have to call them back. There's a lot of phone tag going on. My point is, find somebody at your property or at your restaurant. It doesn't matter. Like, if you feel they have great customer service skills, give them the admin responsibilities and have them solely responsible for recruiting until you find a permanent recruiter or a permanent talent acquisition manager. But I think that is part of the reason why there are these no-call, no-shows, is they just don't like the tone, or they don't like the feel on the phone, or they don't feel like it's a genuine interview.
Right.
Makes sense?
I know it makes total sense. I'm sure our example that Mike Sandercock gave is a little bit of an unusual one, because I know he's a really great professional. But Peter, how should hotels be reaching out in their style, in the way that they communicate, to set up a tone of expectations that shows me as a potential employee, I want to be part of this organization. I like this culture. I feel I have a future.
I've tried to do lately, the past year, videos short and sweet. Nobody attends to anything long. So a short and sweet video clip of your employees. This is what I do. This is why I like it. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. And just make it transparent. I'm super transparent. I still credit it to my first 12 years being lived and raised in New York, living and being raised in New York. I can't help it. I say it like I feel. There's no filter, and I'm professional about it. But I tell you what I'm seeing. And so I have a company here. I can't name them because I'll have a flood of applicants.
Of course.
But they've been paying people every time they show up for their shift.
Yep.
So they've been giving them a $50 show up for your shift bonus, and they haven't had any no calls, no shows in the past month, and it's cost them less in turnover. So it's a great idea, and they're a small restaurant that really can't afford that much, but the employees are having a great time with it. Now they've already told them it's 90 days, we have to phase it out, but ride it while you can. Well, guess what? Everybody's 5 minutes early for with their name badge. Yeah. So it's amazing how you can model the behavior you want if you're just transparent and honest about it. I don't know why we BS and pretend we're something we're not. Just tell them what the job is. You know,
Peter, you're stepping into the land that I do. Everybody accuses me of being too direct, which I never understood. But us New York cats, we get it. That's the way you have to be, Jeremy.
I'm from New York, and yeah, I lived in Brooklyn. And when I first moved to Florida, I remember the first year was kind of difficult because I was told, all right, you're too condescending or you're too abrasive. And I'm like, sometimes you talk too much and I just got to get my word in edgewise. Right. And we tend to cut each other off in New York. Like it's not a thing. I don't get insulted. You cut me off. I cut you off. We just talk.
Yeah. I mean, here we're just going back and forth.
It doesn't matter. but down here, it's like, no, patience, take a deep breath.
And
sir, ma'am.
And for all of you in the other 49 states and District of Columbia, we're just having a little fun time, but it's not really a bad thing. But transparency has been my, I don't know, I guess my calling card without realizing it all these years of work. And then I turned into academia, which is very governmental and bureaucratic and takes time, but the transparency has worked anywhere I've gone. And if I had an employee and I knew we were going to have a crap show ahead with an overbooking, I didn't lie. I told them, here's the deal. Let's come up with a strategy. And people have always respected that transparency. So I think what Jeremy said, letting them know what they're getting into and being honest and upfront will kind of reduce your no-shows, because we're having a lot of these very brief online or email conversations, and they're just not as warm and friendly. Look how pumped up, Glenn, you came back from the Hunter Conference. That's because you went to a live event. And I've been teasing some of my friends in the events business that I'm going to Zoom for life and I'm never going to attend. And that. We know how great we feel when we go to a live event. You have the bonding, you have the relationship, you have the human contact. And we're missing that in interviewing as well right now.
I will tell you what, Peter, the first full day of the conference, there were a lot of people not feeling very great. They weren't used to going to conferences. They may have had a little trouble getting to bed at a reasonable hour the night before, which is the reason for that. But guys, the one issue that we need to, I think, discuss, to put this all into context, is a lot of people think they're doing the right thing. They think they're being direct. They're not taking an honest audit of themselves. How could employers out there break free of that and actually take a real holistic view on what they're contributing to this issue and how they could make real changes like we've been discussing here? Anyone want to go for that one first?
Go ahead, Jeremy. It's just your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I guess that all depends on if they're humble and they're willing to accept responsibility to what's going on in their business, right? So if they're a leader or president or CEO of that restaurant or chain or that hotel group, and they don't feel like there's an issue, and they don't think it trickles from the top, then they're sadly mistaken, right? Like it always trickles from the top.
Right.
It just does. Like when they come in, are they walking their property or their restaurant, storming around? Everybody scampering around, hiding, like, oh my God, he's here. Everybody, like, if you're not doing the same thing every day, it shouldn't matter if he's walking the property or the restaurant, right? But how many times have we heard so-and-so's visiting? Everybody get ready.
I always think the weirdest thing. I mean, it's like, so does that mean you suck the rest of the
like, well, come on. So I guess it just matters. It depends if they have a humble spirit, and if they do, and if they're watching. And I think it's great that you're allowing Peter and I and yourself. We're all using our microphones to talk about this. It's kind of uncomfortable. It is, but they should find an accountability buddy. If they don't want to bring it internal, they should definitely find someone who can give them that direct feedback, and they should really evaluate what they're doing and put it into practice. I mean, I'll give you a stupid example. This kind of goes with it. When I was a corporate recruiter for 17 years, bought my firm, went independent. My first year was a train wreck. And I looked at myself and I said, well, I was a great corporate recruiter. At least I thought I was. What do I got to do? I paid money for a consultant, and I had 2 accountability buddies that kicked my behind.
Good for
and
you.
It really, really, really put me in my place. And I had to restructure my thinking, because headhunting and firm recruiting is a lot different than corporate recruiting. It just is. And I had to really think about and change a lot of the way I acted. And now my recruiters, the way I treat my recruiters, a lot of the things I had to switch versus being corporate. But it takes that.
Yeah. And I think we all have to get used to the notion of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. That is when you are willing to change most. That is when personal growth really happens. If we're too comfortable, if we're too complacent, disaster is just around the corner. Peter?
I can't help it. I'm a guest service junkie, and it reminds me very much of when you knew the mystery shopper was in house and all the staff would call each other to let them know they were coming. It's useless. The same thing when you do an employee climate survey and you get back an 80% and you have a celebration party because you think that's great. You need to focus on, listening. Just listen to the employees. There's a great company back in time called Bristol Hotels and Resorts, may it rest in peace. And they always had GM listens meetings constantly. So I would take the Bell staff off site and have lunch with them and say, what's wrong in your world? What's right in your world? How can you work better with the guests? What's stopping you from taking care of a guest? I would learn so many things that I never learned from the managers because they weren't listening to the people involved in the day-to-day transaction. That's who's giving hospitality, is your associates, not us in the ivory towers, not us doing the research. Those are the people. So you need to listen and reflect on that. It is a little scary to be uncomfortable and get negative feedback, but so be it. That's how you grow as a human. That's how you grow as a professional. So, what the most optimistic thing I can say today is this is a banner time for looking for work and a banner time for the industry to improve and move forward. The only negative I see is the continuation of many leaders to have their heads in the sand and blame the workers. They should be back. There's jobs. Why do they want more money? I mean, come on. Reevaluate yourself and look at what others in your neighborhood, your family, and your circle are doing, and find the happiest ones. Find out what those companies do. I've never been to Chewy.com, but I can tell you it's a great place to work. From the people I know, they get to bring their pets and they get pet food and they're this and that. I've never been there, but I can tell you that people like it. I can tell you which hotels people like it, which they don't. You can tell. So you have somebody come in from the outside, be humble and eager to learn like Jeremy. Don't take it as a beating. And, don't get 3 or 4 consultants until you hear what you want to hear either.
Yeah, right.
Because that's equally possible. So get a dose of medicine, digest it, and fix it,
Yeah, Jeremy?
I 100%. I mean, I'm living proof. I got my face kicked in, and I just took it, and there's a lot of aha moments. And I think that there's There's a ton of opportunity in hospitality. We've been saying this. I hope this doesn't come off as so pessimistic, because it really is an optimistic time for the industry.
Not pessimistic. This is
So
what everybody needs to hear, Jeremy, so we can all have incredible success going forward.
this is going to be like, anybody who's at the finish line, just buckle up. It's like there's so much opportunity. So my point is, to back to your question about, looking yourself in the mirror and what can they do to fix it, is it's that humble spirit. If you don't want to get a consultant, then get somebody who can give you direct advice. I do actually think you should get a consultant, because they're not like attached to you in any way. If they're internal employees or someone who reports to you, they're going to be kind of nervous to give you that feedback. So you need someone who's going to come in there and just really evaluate you and give you that feedback, honestly. And it does start from leadership down. It does.
Yep. Makes sense. Gentlemen, this has been such a fun, fantastic hour. And I really hope that everybody out there takes the message in the spirit that it is intended. We want us all to be successful, like I just mentioned. And to do that, sometimes we have to get uncomfortable. But together, we can all do it. We can all create a new reality for tomorrow that's not just going to get people back to work, not just going to empower them in careers, but make all of you leaders and owners out there more successful than ever. Peter, how about a good final thought and some shameless plugs about FAU and anything else that you'd like?
Hey, our certificate's still going on. So email me at hospitality@fau.edu if you ever want to do it. Somebody just posted, lifelong learning. That's what it's all about. That's how people self-reflected themselves and did this inventory the past year. Because think about it. We have plenty of time to think, and we're not a society that permits that on a regular basis. So, reflect yourself, and then the leaders should reflect in their business. But always a pleasure to chat with you. Sometimes when I see Jeremy and met him and talked on the phone, I think he's in my head, and it's a little scary because we think alike. But it's great to see you on the show, Jeremy. And Glenn, thanks to you and Anthony for always doing great stuff. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you and helping create great hospitality workforce of tomorrow. Jeremy?
The feeling is mutual, Peter. I feel the same way when I talk to you. It's sometimes kind of odd. I'm like, it's like a shadow, like we're saying the same things, but it's super. When I found out you're going to be on today, I was like very excited. So awesome to see you. And Glenn, thank you. And Anthony, for this year. I watch your show all the time. Nice. It really helped me get through the crisis. It really did, just to hear what's going on in the industry. So, I'm just honored to be here and to talk to you and have some fun talking about what I love to talk about. So I appreciate that. Then, hey, that's what I got to say.
So listen, I'm totally honored that Anthony and I were able to help get people through. It's meant a lot to me. It's really made my year. It helped soothe the wounds that I was feeling from my whole business being upside down. Jeremy, I can't let you go. How can people find you? How can people connect with you? How can people utilize your service on both sides?
Well, I have a YouTube channel. You can just search my LinkedIn profile. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, it's the same profile. You just look my name up, Jeremy Nichols. The YouTube channel is mostly for candidates, for candidate advice. But recently, I've been flipping it, and now I'm giving advice for hiring managers and recruiters. And I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that we're talking about now. And then I'm going to give a lot of tips on how to find talent, what to do. And that's my new video content will be more for the hiring end. So that's how you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on LinkedIn, and geckohospitality.com is our firm. And we're in every state in the country and in Canada. I just so happen to focus on Florida, but we have recruiters and franchisees in every state. And by the way, we just won best recruiting firm, executive recruiter firm of 2021 for the Forbes list. We made the list.
Wow.
Yes. So very excited to be on the list.
I meant to do. Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was just announced. I just posted it last night. So really excited.
I'm so proud of you, man. That is such great news. And honestly, take a minute, pat yourself on the back, because it sounds like you worked your ass off to get to that point.
It's a lot of work, but it comes with a ton of great support and just awesome recruiters that work with me, and I work alongside colleagues, and just the industry and great clients too. Like they write the reviews. They help us get on these lists, right? So if we didn't have the good reviews from the awesome clients and the candidates, we wouldn't even be considered.
That is absolutely.
Glenn, as soon as he finds me a job, I'll let you know. Then I'll write a review. Okay.
Peter, that's my goal, man.
You guys are awesome. I love the comments coming in. The audience is they're just great. You got such a great show.
Yeah,
They're so interactive, and it's just great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's the freaking best. I love you guys. I love everyone out in the audience and all of that. Guys, gonna have to get you back soon enough as we get closer to September to see if anyone was paying attention and listening to these lessons.
You should do that because then you can hold us to the fire, right? Say, September's here. What happened?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to hold you to the fire.
Good.
But I don't think you're going to get burned because you know what you're talking about.
Good.
All right, guys, we'll have a great rest of the week. Take care, guys. Man, oh, man, was that motivational. I really loved it. Sometimes we all need a good swift kick in the butt in order to be more successful. Hopefully, some of the hoteliers out there will be able to better connect with employees by listening to some of this advice. And if you want to keep learning and you don't want to watch us every day, well, why not just listen to the audio version of our podcast? Find No Vacancy Live on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Anthony Hotels, at Traveling Glenn. That's how you find us. Now, if you connect with No Vacancy Live, as opposed to the Checking In with Anthony and Glenn feed, you'll also get audio versions of Friday Night Audit, of No Vacancy News Today, and lots of other great bonus content out there. Please sign up. Please follow us on YouTube, all of that kind of good stuff. Remember, everybody, I am feeling like you are all out there. I'm pulsating with love and light today. I am vibrating with love and light because I know I've only got one life and I'm going to blaze on. And I, as Anthony says, I'm going to take care of myself. All right, see you all next week. And don't forget, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're drinking, we're having fun. I'm going to tell some crazy stories about the Hunter Hotel investment conferences, including what happens when I kindly ask somebody to please put on a mask before getting into the elevator with me. Find out what happened. See you tomorrow night. Take care.